Research commentary: the struggle for popular government in a divided Manipur. The story of Manipur's ongoing political crisis has taken another turn, one that reveals both the desperation for normalcy and the deep caution that still defines Delhi's approach. Over a year after violent ethnic clashes tore the state apart, Manipur remains without a fully functioning popular government. The conflict between the Meitei community in the valley and the Kuki-Zo communities in the hills has left deep scars. The question now facing everyone, from ordinary citizens to top leaders in Delhi, is this: when and how will democratic governance truly return to Manipur? According to reports shared by valley-based viewers and local observers, a group of Meitei MLAs recently travelled to New Delhi to press for the early restoration of a popular government. They reportedly met with senior officials in the Union Home Ministry, seeking approval to re-establish a functioning cabinet and end the extended period of suspended governance. However, sources say their visit did not go as smoothly as planned. Instead of a warm reception, the delegation was met with what was described as visible coldness or even irritation from the Home Minister. The discussion was brief and did not yield the expected assurance. Within days, the MLAs returned home to Manipur, their trip ending abruptly. Yet upon returning to Imphal, one of the MLAs reportedly spoke to the local media, claiming that the process for forming a popular government was already in motion and that President's rule, which had been extended several times, would not be continued beyond the current 6-month period. He stated confidently that a popular government will be formed at the earliest. This statement reignited debate across both the valley and the hills. Was it genuine optimism, or was it political reassurance aimed at calming growing frustration in the valley? Either way, it adds another dimension to an already complex situation. Manipur's political vacuum and the long wait for normalcy. Manipur today remains caught between two worlds, technically under constitutional rule, but practically managed through direct control by the centre. While the Chief Minister still holds office nominally, most key decisions are influenced, if not dictated, by the Union Home Ministry. Law and order, especially in the hill areas, is under the command of central paramilitary forces. The state is sharply divided. The valley and the hills operate almost like two separate administrative zones. Civil servants, police personnel, and even humanitarian agencies face challenges coordinating between the two regions. In this fractured environment, restoring a popular government, meaning one led by elected representatives, has become both a political goal and a potential risk. For many in the valley, especially Meitei residents, the absence of an active government is seen as humiliation. They feel the democratic process has been paused indefinitely, while their elected MLAs appear powerless. But for the Kuki-Zo population in the hills, the suspension of the old system is seen as a necessary safeguard, a pause that prevents the return of what they perceive as a biased and exclusionary political order. Delhi's cautious distance. The reaction in Delhi to the Meitei delegation's visit tells us a lot about the centre's current strategy. While both the state and national governments are led by the same political party, the Home Ministry has been extremely cautious in dealing with Manipur's crisis. The Home Minister's reported coldness was not personal hostility, but likely a calculated signal, a reminder that the centre alone decides when and how Manipur's political system will be restored. Delhi is aware that prematurely reinstating a Meitei-dominated government without the participation or consent of the hill communities could trigger another wave of unrest. The centre's silence and apparent inaction are therefore not signs of neglect, but part of a deliberate, controlled approach. Officials in Delhi understand that the conflict in Manipur is not a temporary disturbance, but a profound rupture between two societies that now operate independently of one another. The hills' position: no government without agreement. Meanwhile, in the hills, the message has been consistent. Leaders of Kuki-Zo civil society groups, churches, and political organizations have stated repeatedly that no popular government can be legitimate unless it includes their consent. They argue that any unilateral formation of a government in Imphal, without meaningful dialogue and power sharing, will not bring peace, it will only entrench division. This demand is rooted in the current ground reality. Since the clashes of 2023, the hill districts have been under the de facto administration of local Kuki-Zo authorities and defense groups. The Valley Police do not operate there, and even state officials rarely visit without military escort. Likewise, the hills have almost no influence over policy decisions made in Imphal. As a result, the notion of a single, unified Manipur government seems increasingly symbolic. For many hill leaders, the future must involve either separate administrative structures or at least a federal model that grants autonomy to both regions. The strategy of silence, Delhi's long game. Many political analysts now describe the centre's approach as a strategy of silence. Instead of taking dramatic actions or making bold declarations, Delhi is quietly managing the situation by controlling the pace of events. The reasoning is that over time, emotions may cool, displaced families may settle, and communities may become more open to dialogue. This long-game approach, sometimes called time heals, has precedent. In Punjab during the 1990s and in parts of Jammu and Kashmir in earlier decades, the centre used prolonged administrative control to stabilize conditions before allowing political institutions to resume. But in Manipur, this approach has mixed results. While the absence of active politics has prevented large-scale clashes from resuming, it has also deepened frustration among people who feel their voices have been silenced. Thousands remain in relief camps, unable to return to their homes, and yet no comprehensive political roadmap has been shared publicly. The new statement, hope or political messaging. The Meitei MLAs claim that a popular government will be formed soon, and that President's rule will not be extended, has generated both hope and skepticism. For Valley residents, the statement sounds like long-awaited good news. It suggests that normalcy might finally return, that the assembly will function again, and that democratic governance will replace bureaucratic control. However, from the Hill perspective, this announcement seems premature. Kukizo organizations have not been part of any visible negotiation or agreement about the restoration of government. There has been no indication from Delhi that an inclusive political formula has been finalized. This leads some analysts to believe that the MLA's statement was more about managing public expectations in the valley than reflecting an actual decision by the centre. Nonetheless, even symbolic statements can influence public mood. For people living under uncertainty, the idea that a popular government might return soon provides at least temporary relief, even if the timeline remains unclear. The risk of repeating the past. Critics warn that if the same Meitei-dominated government is reinstated without reconciliation or reform, it could bring back the very tensions that caused the 2023 violence. The earlier conflict was driven not just by administrative failures, but by perceptions of ethnic favoritism and political exclusion. For the Hill communities, the state government had become a symbol of their marginalization. During the clashes, state security forces were accused by Kukizo groups of acting with bias. If the same political structure returns unchanged, the message to the Hills would be that nothing has been learned. This could quickly reignite resentment and lead to renewed confrontation. The central government appears to understand this risk. That's why, despite the MLA's confident statement, Delhi has yet to make any official declaration ending President's rule or authorizing a new government. Federal mediation, the only viable way forward. Amid these uncertainties, more experts are suggesting that Manipur's path forward must involve federal mediation, a structured dialogue between the centre, the Meitei Valley leadership, and the Kukizo Hill representatives. Such dialogue would aim to design a political structure that ensures equal participation, security, and representation for all communities. This could take the form of a shared administration or an interim coalition government under central supervision. It would allow both sides to cooperate on humanitarian and reconstruction efforts while rebuilding mutual trust. Only after such groundwork is laid should full elections or cabinet formation take place. Without this step, any sudden reactivation of political authority could be seen as a unilateral move, and unilateral moves rarely lead to peace in deeply divided societies. The people's mood, fatigue and distrust. Among ordinary people in Manipur, the dominant feelings are exhaustion and uncertainty. In the valley, many feel abandoned, their representatives seem powerless, and their state appears frozen. In the hills, people fear that once Imphal regains control, their fragile sense of safety will vanish. Both sides accuse the other of inflexibility. Meanwhile, Delhi's silence continues to fuel speculation and rumor. Some interpret it as indecision, others as a deliberate act of balancing. Either way, the people on the ground remain the ones most affected. Manipur as a test of federal sensitivity. The situation in Manipur has now become a test of India's federal principles. It raises difficult questions about how much power the centre should exercise during a crisis, and how long a state can remain under president's rule before democracy must be restored. The Indian constitution gives the centre the authority to intervene in states under extraordinary circumstances, but it also emphasises the importance of state-level democracy. In Manipur, maintaining that balance has proven especially difficult. By holding back the restoration of full political power, Delhi is prioritising stability and reconciliation over speed. Yet this restraint risks creating a sense of disenchantment, particularly among citizens who equate democracy with normalcy. The way forward, inclusion as the foundation of peace. If there is one clear lesson from Manipur's crisis, it is that inclusion must form the foundation of any lasting peace. A government that represents only one side will fail to govern the other. True stability can only emerge when both valley and hill communities see themselves as equal partners in the political process. The central government should therefore move toward structured talks, involving both ethnic leaderships and civil society representatives. Confidence-building measures, such as joint committees on rehabilitation, security and resource allocation, could help rebuild a sense of shared purpose. Only after these steps can a new government, whether interim or permanent, emerge as truly popular. Conclusion: waiting for consensus. The episode of Meitei MLAs visiting Delhi, facing an unfriendly reception, and then returning home quickly, captures the core tension of Manipur's current politics. The MLA's subsequent statement that a popular government will soon be formed and that President's rule will not be extended beyond 6 months adds optimism but also uncertainty. It shows that the desire for normalcy is strong, but the conditions for it are still fragile. Delhi remains cautious, likely unwilling to restore political control until both Meitei and Kuki-Zo communities show readiness to coexist peacefully. Manipur now stands at a crossroads. One path leads to hurried political revival, which risks repeating old mistakes. The other leads to patient dialogue and federal restructuring, which, though slower, offers a real chance for lasting peace. As the months pass and the current phase of President's rule nears its end, the people of Manipur are watching closely. Whether the next chapter begins with conflict or cooperation depends on how wisely their leaders, both in Imphal and Delhi, choose to act. Zalingam Media Research Commentary Disclaimer. This analysis is based on regional observations, interviews and information shared by viewers and observers from Manipur's valley and hill regions. Details such as the Meitei MLA's visit to Delhi and the statement about the formation of a popular government are drawn from local information networks and may not be independently verifiable through national or international outlets. This commentary is intended for research and analytical discussion, not for asserting unconfirmed facts. Viewers are encouraged to interpret it as a contextual understanding of evolving political events in Manipur.